Have you been tuning in to season 17 of The Bachelorette? Are you ready to see what week 2 has in store for us? If so, you've come to the right place. This video is going to be a Bachelorette season 17, Katie Thurston season, episode number 2, week number 2, recap by yours truly, Simpli Stacy. So stick around. Hi there, Simpli Subbies. Welcome back to the Simpli Stacy YouTube channel. It's your girl, Stacy, and we're going to get right into episode 2, week 2 of The Bachelorette, season 17. We are on Katie Thurston season, and I'm going to tell you, they have been pushing sex positivity since day 1, and this episode will not disappoint. They're keeping on that train, and so let's get right to it. So, week 2, they are actually staying at the Hyatt Regency Tamaya, Tamaya Resort and Spa. So it's an upgrade from Claire and Tayshia's season. However, I think it's probably comparable to the season that Katie was actually on, which was Matt James. His was at a very nice resort too, but that La Quinta Inn or La Quinta, whatever you call it, that Tayshia and Claire had to deal with, there was no bachelorette vibes there at all. But the other people, they got really nice dates, really nice accommodations. And so Katie's season is no different. Okay, so it started like Katie's super excited. She said that it's kind of hard for her to let go, but she's excited. She thinks that she will find her husband in this group of guys, which is always a really good thing to hear, because it would really suck if you didn't think that anybody there was, potentially your partner, your life partner, your husband. So that's nice to hear. So Katie's alone. She's, giving her thoughts on how the process is going. It's only been 1 week. Then enter the 3 ladies. So Tayshia and Kaylin are talking to her and basically, giving her tips, and she's giving them some of her concerns. And they say, you know what, this week you're going to have a busy week. You're going to have one group date, followed by a one-on-one, followed by a second group date. So she's like, okay. And they're like, this is what it's like to be a bachelorette. This is your schedule. This is what you have to deal with. And Katie's like, okay, revving up. She's ready to go. And then they do pan to the guys. So the guys are all talking about, how they like Katie, who they think she is, what they think she likes. And you can tell that the producers are definitely asking all these leading questions, because let's be honest, although people chat and will talk when they're in, spaces, the questions or what they're saying, you can tell they're kind of being led into having those specific conversations, but it's okay. It's all for our viewing pleasure, and I don't have a problem with it. Okay, so there is a date card. So a date card comes, and Carl, if you guys remember Carl, he is the motivational speaker, and he's just extra, competitive, maybe extra competitive. It's like he just keeps seeing it as a game. So it's a little bit annoying to the other guys. Someone mentions it. I can't remember who. But you can tell that they're about to start painting him as the villain. It does not fail. Every season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, there is always a villain, somebody that the rest of the cast doesn't like or something like that. And you can kind of start to see this playing out for Mr. Carl, especially if he keeps on this same path. Because he's like, yeah, we got to win, blah, 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 whatever. It's just kind of weird. Okay, so it's a group date. Don't ask me who's all on the date. I can't remember all the names. But as we talk about the date, you'll find out who was on the date. So, the first guy, it's all the guys, they're walking out to meet up with Katie and Thomas. Thomas is a super tall guy. So if I'm saying tall guy, I'm probably talking about Thomas. He runs up and scoops her up in her her legs go around him. It's like super cute, but all the guys are there. So, I mean, it's a little bit awkward. I probably would be feeling a little bit uncomfortable if all of my other boyfriends were present while I'm just having this like super, I guess, intimate moment with Thomas. But she likes Thomas, and so they walk into where they're going to be having their day because, they don't know what it is. They come in. It's like the lights are really low. There's a bed with like rose petals in the shape of a heart. There are rose petals on the floor. There is a pair of fluffy pink handcuffs on the bedpost. And then, of course, on the table, Katie's sex toy from Matt James's season. I don't know if it's the actual one that she brought in, but it's one that's a replica at least. And so all the guys are like making comments like, oh my God. So here again, like I said, they have been preaching how sex positive she is. And her first date is a sex positive date. So most of the guys are amped and like, oh my God, what are we going to get into? But there's one guy, the virgin. What is his name? I could not think of his name and they did not put it on the screen. But his name is Mike. And you can tell that he's kind of uncomfortable. He's making comments like, oh my God, here it goes. I'm waiting for my wife. I'm waiting to be married. I'm a virgin, and it's just going to be really awkward for him. So when they get in there, Katie introduces her friend, Heather McDonald, and she's a host of a podcast called Juicy Scoop. The Juicy Scoop podcast. She's also a writer. She's a comedian. She has all these hats that she wears. And she tells them that they're going to have a sex positive date. And all the men have to tell Katie how they are the best lovers for her. And they have to express themselves and all this stuff. So, this could be an awkward day for almost anybody, not just the virgin. But, a lot of people don't want to talk about their sex lives on television. And so, I don't know how I really feel about this date because Katie is sex positive. But that doesn't mean everybody else is, or everybody else is comfortable with that, or they're comfortable with their family seeing that. So, I'm going to say, Katie, it wasn't the best date, in my opinion. But okay, girl, do you see if they have a sense of humor or whatever it is. Basically, they said today is about lots and lots and lots of love. And Thomas was saying that he's never dated anyone that's been so comfortable with their sexuality. So, he doesn't know what they have in store for them. And remember, Thomas is the very tall guy who she ran up to and he hugged her and all that good jazz. So they first start though with a questions game. So the question was what is the largest female sex organ? And so they're writing, all of their answers down just to see how men know women's bodies and stuff. The answer was actually the brain, and someone actually answered brain. I cannot remember who answered brain, but one person did answer brain. There was a question about what article of clothing, I guess maybe arouses the person the most or a woman the most, and it was socks. The man was like, oh, we're learning so much. It was a lot of things that they didn't know. They asked about sexual positions, their favorite. And so, of course, the virgin has no clue. And this isn't the forum for him to even have that conversation with Katie or the world or all the guys. It was just really kind of awkward for him, and I felt bad. But he just put a question mark. They asked when the last time they were intimate with someone. Some people 2 months, a year. He put a question mark, he didn't want to, that wasn't the time or the place for that. But it didn't seem like the question mark fazed them any. They just was okay, mystery man. That's what they just kept calling him. And they went on from there. So then they pan to Mike, who is the virgin, who was talking to the camera. You know, he's just basically giving his talk hey, yes, I am a virgin. I'm waiting for marriage. He's very super emotional and kind of crying. And I just feel kind of bad because I'm like, this is probably a really awkward situation for him to be in. But I think he did handle that pretty well. So then they go on to this talent competition, the talent portion. And so they're supposed to express to Katie how they are the best lovers for her in their own way. So it starts with Connor B, and I call him Cat Guy because he's the guy who showed up in the cat suit. And remember, I told you guys he was playing some little banjo when they did his introduction at first, but he did have a guitar this time. So he sings a song. It's witty, it's comedy, you know, she likes it. Tasha and Kaylin are there too. They're all just kind of sitting on the couch and judging, you know, each of the guys. But his last line or whatever, his catchphrase is he's good with his fingers. You know, he's playing the guitar, and she really liked it. It was creative. Next up was Christian. Christian did a poem, and he also had on rip-away pants, you know, the kind with the buttons. You just snatch them off. So he got down to his little boxer briefs really quickly. There was Trey, who had a puppet show. Now, mind you, all these are about sex and sex positiveness and all that stuff. So I don't have to go into details about all of it. There was a guy with this ribbon. I believe it was a red ribbon. And he was explaining how, you know, it could be used for handcuffs and other things like that. Then the guy Courtney with the Q. He did something. He had a carrot. He referenced the carrot. Listen, he got something coming with the carrot. There are guys in their tank tops and boxers, or the boxer briefs. There's a guy who gave her a foot massage. Okay, then there was the gift box James, who literally put a gift box on his package. I think he was standing up there in his boxer briefs with the gift box. No shirt, all that good jazz. Next up was Carl. And he's the motivational speaker, and he took this thing real serious. And remember, he's the guy who was all treating this like a competition. He's in order to win it, I got to do what I know best, and all this stuff he's thinking. So he gets up on the stage and says, I'm going to do a motivational speech. These are the 5 things you need to know to find your right lover, or something like that. And he went on and on. The guy's like, oh my God, he keeps talking. And then he started taking digs at other guys. And everybody just really wanted him to wrap this thing up. So they just start clapping, get him off the stage. Basically, they're if this was the Apollo, he would have been gone. The Sandman would have gotten him. I don't understand what's going on here. Then next up was actually Mike the Virgin. So he goes and he grabs Katie. She's sitting with the ladies on the couch. He takes her. They sit on the bed together. And then he has something he's written in his notebook. And he goes on with this letter to his future wife, and he basically says the gist of it is, I'm saving myself for you. You know, I would do it another 31 years so that you know that, that's how I can be the best lover that you can be. She's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. She tears up, and he is the winner chicken dinner because she gives Mike the actual trophy for being the best lover, for telling her how he can be the best lover. So all the other guys, she enjoyed the jokes and all that stuff, but Mike shared something really personal with her. He was very serious about it. And in her mind, although she knows that he knows how sex positive she is, that she is nowhere near a virgin, she appreciates that he came on here for her, even knowing that about her. And so it makes her tear up a little bit. And so, yes, the virgin wins the sex positive game night, or whatever you want to call it, competition. Next up, Carl is still up here talking about winning and how he did not win, and how, he needs to get in gear, kick it in gear for the next time. Because, this is the first part of the day, date part 2. They have a little cocktail hour. And so he's still talking about it. So he's annoying me at this point, but he's annoying everyone else. And we can already tell they're making him the villain. Okay, next up is Connor B. So they're at the little second half of the day. Connor B is the cat guy. And he's like, do you still like me without my whiskers and all this stuff? And she's like, And he's like, I think I need to like kiss her again because like I have these paws on and all this stuff. So let's recreate our first kiss. So they do. That was pretty much it. She did tell him that he was the first guy that she actually remembered with the cat suit on from night number 1. They pan back to the guys that are still at the hotel or the resort, and there's a date card for the one-on-one. So, all the guys are like, oh, I hope it's me. And Greg gets it. So Greg is the guy she gave her first impression rose to. He's the guy who gave her the necklace on the first night from his 3-year-old niece. And she really appreciated that. He got the first impression rose, and he also got the first date one-on-one. So he's super excited. He's a little surprised because just because you get a first impression rose does not normally mean you're going to get the first date. So some of the other guys are thinking that they may have had an opportunity, but Greg got it. So of course he was excited. And then they, of course, have the group date rose is on the table. So they're all talking about it. The men are all discussing it, like what it would mean for them to get it. And then Carl again is like kind of treating it like a job interview or a deal or something. Like he's landed on super thin. Okay, so when they're having a conversation, it's super disingenuous, I would say. They start talking. Something comes up with their like relationships or their past relationships, and she asks him like, "Oh, well, when is your past relationship?" And he's like, "I can't get into that. No. I'm trying to focus on my next relationship." So it was like all these little one-liners, and I'm like, Carl, this is a mess. He ends up pulling out some handcuffs, and then Thomas walks in and interrupts them, and I'm like, thank God, because that was not even a really good one-on-one. So Thomas comes in and interrupts this whole little purple handcuff situation. He's like, yeah, I think I saw the keys out there. You can go and do that. So she says that Thomas has been on her mind. She's been thinking about him. They seem to have a very genuine conversation. She really likes him. They're really vibing. This is the super tall guy. They share a kiss. I believe this is their first kiss. And she says she's really glad that he is here. So then she goes to give out the date rose. And so she mentions 3 people in her speech. She mentions the cat guy, Connor. She also mentions the super tall guy, Thomas. And then the virgin, Mike, who won earlier that day. But she ends up giving it to Thomas, which was the super tall guy, the one she ran up to and gave a hug to. Well, he ran up to her and she, hopped on him and gave her a hug. He picked her up. And then he also came in and they had a really good conversation. So I definitely could see why she gave that to him. Okay, so next scene is the guys are all at their place. They're chatting it up. Katie pulls up. She's on this dirt road because they are in the desert somewhere. She's on this pulls up in this red old school pickup truck. The guys see her like, who's that outside? Oh my gosh, she looks, that's Katie, oh my gosh, she's in a nice truck. She's going to get Greg for their date. They're both dressed in flannel jeans and boots, like cowboy boots, cowgirl boots, whatever. Hats, cowboy hats or whatever. I don't know. I don't think she had a hat on that time. But anyway, that's what they're looking like. So he comes out, they get in. And basically, she's like, I'm going to take you out. Do you like the outdoors? He's like, yeah, I kind of like the outdoors. I used to love to go fishing with my dad. And she's like, okay, great. Turns out, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go fishing and camping. And so she's watching him try to pitch this tent, honey. She's not giving him any helping hands. And it is hilarious because he definitely does not know what he's doing. She does start to give him some pointers like, maybe you want to use that to stake in the ground and all stuff. But it was fun. They had this banter going on and it was so cute. She said he was super hot trying to put the tent together, but she could tell he had no idea what he was doing. They do that. They go fishing. And she says that she picked this date because it's some stuff she used to do with her dad. They used to go camping. They would go fishing. They would do all of this stuff. And so, he's super pumped because he's like, I love fishing. Then Katie does tell him that her dad passed away in 2012. And, she did this day kind of in memory of him because he won't be able to meet her dad. But, going on this date is almost like him meeting him without being able to meet him. Next, after they pitched the whole tent situation, she's like, we got to make an outhouse or a bathroom. So they have this like bucket. He has a whole axe trying to hack a hole in it to dig a hole to put on the bucket with the hole on top. It's so crazy. But she said this is what her dad used to do, and so he does it. She digs a hole. They dig a hole, put it there. He's like sitting on it like he's testing out the toilet, right? So weird. And they have this super serious moment, and they share like a kiss while he's sitting on the toilet. He's like, I gotta get up. That was so weird. But yeah, she was like, what? It was not. It was like fun, but they're having good vibes. You can tell they are super having a good time. They play a game of horse. They, go fishing. She opens up about her dad and tells, why this date reminds him of her. And, she's getting very emotional. It's an emotional time, even though he died, 12 years ago. She's like, it never goes away. And yeah, Greg also mentions that, she can talk to him. She can count on him. He's happy that she opened up about her dad. And he wants to assure her that he will be there for her. And he does not mind her talking to him about these types of things. So then the next group date card arrives. And everybody but one person is on the group date. And the one person that is not on this group date is the guy, I believe his name is Michael, and he's the guy who had the kid. So remember last week, one of the guys told her that he had a child, and that's when Katie had the whole, oh, well, yeah, I don't mind that way, or if the guy doesn't want kids, I'm just kind of open either way. So she didn't pick him for it. So of course he's like, well, he's kind of like anxious about that. Like, dang, I'm the only one who won't get time to spend with her this week. And so it can mean one of two things. It can mean she's already decided that she does not want to talk to you anymore. She doesn't want to get to know you. She knows what she needs to know. And at the rose ceremony, she'll let you know what either way. Or it can mean she's already gotten such a good vibe for you that she doesn't feel like she has to fill you out more this week. They always do that, and I think it's also production again, trying to get a little bit of drama because they want to get people's reaction when you're the only person. Because, like, why couldn't you have added one more name to the date, right? Like, it just seems like they do this all the time. There's always somebody or, that does not get a date card. What did it say? Oh, let's get down and dirty. So that's what the date card said. So, of course, the guys are always trying to figure out where they're going to go. What does this mean? They pan back to the one-on-one date with Katie and Greg. And it is their dinner scene. And so they had a really good conversation. And Greg actually opens up to her and lets her know that his father passed away a couple years ago. And so he definitely knows how she feels. And so this day was also hard for him because one of his best memories is his dad waking him up and taking him fishing. And that's exactly what they did. So this was a really hard day for both of them. So they really bonded over that. They both got very emotional. I think they teared up. And they were holding hands the entire time. So I feel like they got really connected. It was a really good date for the two of them. And I like how Greg waited to this point in time to take it, to talk to her about his dad passing away. Because he didn't kind of steal the moment when she was talking about her dad to say, oh yeah, you know what? By the way, my dad did too. He waited till she had already gotten all that out. He was there for her when she was talking about it. And then he did it later in the night. And she, of course, was there for him again and helping him through it. And he's like, so basically, seeing my mom without my dad these last 2 years, it's a lot for me to come here. And so I just want you to know that I came here for you and I really want to be here because I wouldn't have left my mom, by herself if it wasn't you on the show. And she really, really appreciated that. So after their little dinner date, no one ever eats on these little dinner dates. They go outside and they're sitting in the back of the pickup, with blankets, and she has the rose. And so she gives him the rose. So he gets the first one-on-one date rose. And so that means he's safe from elimination. which I'm sure is exciting for Greg. So they kiss, and then of course there are fireworks. It is so Bachelor Nation. It's so Bachelor, it's so Bachelorette. And I'm like, only thing is missing is like this hot country band singing, or country star or pop star, because like they do that, guys, so they missed out on that. But they did get the fireworks. And then of course, because they're on this resort and they're not able to leave like they used to in the past with COVID, all of the guys see the fireworks and it's like, oh man, that's not good, because they know what that means. They probably kissing and making out in the back of a pickup truck, which is exactly what they're doing. And so she had a really good one-on-one date with Greg. Next up was the group date. So the next morning, Tayshia and Kaylin run through all the rooms that the guys are staying in, banking pots and pans. They got their cowgirl hats on. They got their denim on denim on denim. So the guys are like, wait, what the heck is going on? I've never been woken up so abruptly in my entire life. And so they're just like, what is going on? It's super early in the morning. They don't let them get dressed, shower, brush their teeth. They like have on boxer briefs, underwear, joggers, pajamas, like whatever it is, that's what they come out to meet Caitlyn in. She has on like a little denim dress and her cowgirl hat as well. And the guys are just looking crazy. However, they are allowed to all go get dressed alike in a flannel, a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, and denim jeans. So they all come walking up, and she's like, oh, I could date a cowboy, because they all looking like cowboys walking up in this pack. And basically they tell them that they are actually about to have a mud wrestling match. And they're going to be judged by the girls. The ladies are going to judge their little mud wrestling match. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So they all, basically get shirtless for the mud. So they just have jeans on, and they're just basically just jeans, because they take their shoes off, the hats. No, they had the hats on. Hats and jeans, no shirt, bare chest out here. So first up was Brendan and Hunter. So Brendan and Hunter are fighting. Brendan was the winner. Then the football player Andrew S. from Austria, from Chicago, but he plays over in Austria. Him and Kyle up, and Kyle was like, he a football player, Lord, I ain't gonna make it. Of course, Andrew S. wins. Next up was Josh and John. They called that one a draw, so neither one of them lost or won. Then the last match was Aaron and Cody. So I don't know if you guys watched my last recap, but remember when I told you it was this weird scene with this one guy? I didn't know who they were back then, but it was Aaron and Cody chatting, and all we saw was Aaron saying, I don't like what you do, and I don't this, and I don't like you, and I'm never going to like you. And then Cody was like, man, I don't agree with anything you're saying. And then they panned on to the rest of the cocktail party. So he's like, what the heck is going on? So now they are the two that are about to fight one another. And so it's super tense. The tension you can cut with a knife. The ladies are like, oh, there's a little bit of tension there. The guys notice it. Tayshia, Caitlin, and Katie notice it. So like everybody notices it. So of course it's a super aggressive fight. They're like going ham, going head to head. Aaron ends up winning, and Cody ends up losing. And so Aaron, since he won, he actually got to spend some time with Katie alone. And they spent that whole time talking about him and Cody and this tension and why he knows him. So apparently he knows of him from San Diego. They were never really friends, but he doesn't like how he moves. He thinks he's there for clouts, to be famous, for fame. And so Aaron really doesn't like that. And Katie's like, oh, pretty much thanks for telling me. But, okay, I'll catch you guys at the second half of our date, which is the cocktail hour. So, she really did not even get to know Aaron during that time because he was too busy talking about Cody. But apparently he really feels a way about Cody because they had that little beef earlier. And I do recall that Aaron was chosen and then Cody was chosen like back to back, the last two people last time too. I'm like, they doing all this. They already know about this beef or drama. But apparently they don't know each other, or they know each other, but they don't actually hang out and they're not friends. So yeah, that was kind of odd. So since Katie has already been made aware that Cody may have an ulterior motive, as soon as they get to the date, she pulls Cody aside. So she talks to him first and was like, yeah, I was talking to Aaron and he says he knows you from home. What's going on? He's like, I don't know that man. We're not friends, but yeah, he's from my hometown. I know of him. And he's like, well, I don't know what he's saying. She's like, well, what is the thing he's saying? And he's like, well, I don't know exactly what he's saying. So he wasn't really being forthright or forthcoming. He didn't even say, well, he seems to think these things. And I've told him that that's not accurate. He just kept playing coy like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you're not being specific. I'm not being specific. So he was kind of talking around it. So she basically just leaves Cody there and goes back out to the group. And Cody was like, I mean, maybe he's just exaggerating something. He's making a bit of an exaggeration. She's like, well, what is it that he's exaggerating? He's like, I don't know. I don't know what he's saying. So then she goes to talk to Aaron again. And he says, he's talking to the guys like, it's my responsibility to kind of tell her that Cody, he don't move right. We knew each other from before. And then Katie is just taking a moment to herself. And she's basically like, you know what? Cody had like a blank face. He wasn't upset. He didn't seem surprised or shocked. That's kind of a red flag. Like when I was talking to him about it, he didn't get emotional. Like, what? Why would he say that about me? Like, she's like, sounds a little bit fishy. So, she goes back. She pulls Cody. Well, she addresses the guys first. And she goes and pulls Cody. And basically, she sends Cody home. She's like, you know what? We don't have trust. And it's too early in this process for me not to trust you. Car pulls up. He gone. He like, this is crazy. But he ain't seem too disappointed, and I didn't even think they interviewed him on the way out, so he really hadn't much to say. Katie sends Cody home ASAP without even thinking about it too long. She sends him home, he's gone. She goes back and lets the guys know, like, I'm sending him home. I've heard, people aren't here for good reasons, and so I need some time to myself. She's gone, so all the guys are just talking about, like, man, that sucks. Aaron gives his little speech about what's going on. And then Andrew S., who is the Austria ball player, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go and check on Katie. So he leaves the group. He goes to check. He don't really tell them. He just leaves the group and go check on her. And basically he's like, hey, he was like, hello, love. I was like, oh, how cute is that? He's like, basically just checking on you, see how things are going, letting you know that my intentions are genuine. I'm here for you. I just want to make sure that you're okay. All this stuff. They have really good vibes every single time they talk. I think she really likes him, and I think he really likes her. So yeah, he just basically wants her to know he's here for the right reasons and check on her to see how she's feeling, because that must have been pretty much a tough decision. And it just gives her a little bit of pause on what other guys may be here for too. So then they actually have a really deep conversation about how they were raised, and he tells her how, like, he admires her. She's a strong woman. He was raised by a strong woman. They didn't really have much, but she always had a smile on her face, so they really never knew they didn't have much. And surprisingly enough, Katie said they were poor, and she could really relate. So they definitely had a lot in common there. She just keeps looking at him, and he's like, don't look at me like that, girl. She's like, I'm doing it on purpose. And then they make out. It was cute. You could tell that they really had things in common. They really had a deep conversation. It wasn't just superficial. And she really likes him. Kyle comes to talk to her. Basically, all I got from that conversation is he really wants passion the most of all in a relationship. John comes in. He talks about... So John comes in. I can't recall what John was talking about. I have something about he missed being in something, but I can't recall it. Or actually, I can't actually read my writing. That's more so what it is. Then Josh comes up. He said he used to be obese. He's lost so much weight. And, taking his shirt off earlier in the day for her was like kind of a big deal. She's like, oh, wow, you look good doing it. He was happy about that. And then Hunter comes up and he has this handwritten note, which is so sweet, because who writes notes anymore these days? I mean, I write in journals, but I really never give them to people. But anyway, he had a handwritten note. She read it out loud. It was super nice. Basically, she said it was nice to getting to know someone to build stronger connections with, and to build stronger connections with others after she had all of her little one-on-one sessions. And she did say that she sees a future with a lot of the guys that were there on that particular day. There is the rose. So the day Rose comes, and in her speech, she mentions Aaron, the guy who she said he was protecting her by telling her about Cody, who she sent home. And then Andrew S., the guy who had all the stuff in common with her about their childhoods, their upbringings. And she said she appreciated him sharing. And then there was Hunter, the guy who wrote the poem. And she just said, you know, she was happy that he opened up to her, and she picked Andrew S., who is the ball player. That is who got her day rose. So he is safe, and he is not going home in elimination. They have a great connection, and yeah, the guy Hunter who wrote the note said he felt like he was punched in the gut. So, you know, feelings are getting involved, and yeah, he really did like not getting the first impression. The date rose. Okay, so now we're at the cocktail party. So everybody who's been on all the dates and Michael, who has not been on any dates, all come together to talk to her. And what I appreciate about Katie is the first thing she did was grab Michael. A lot of other leads, Bachelor and Bachelorette leads, do not take the time to address the people who did not have dates first. They continue to get to know the people that they already know. But she did say, you know, you did not get a date today, and I want to make sure that I have time to talk to you. I commend her for that, because I do not think they've done that in the past, at least made a effort to do so. So she did, and she basically told him, like, you know, I got a really good vibes from you before, and so I knew that I didn't really need to go on a date with you. Basically, he was like, well, good. You know, I'm thinking like, okay, either she wants me here or she doesn't. So I'm assuming she kind of reassured him that he wasn't going to probably go home tonight. I don't know about in the future, but at least tonight. He asked, can he kiss her? They kiss. Okay, rewind. So even before she pulls Michael aside, she did have a conversation. She had on this like shimmery green dress, and she had a really cute dress. It was like a sequins black dress when she went on her one-on-one date. So she is getting more Bachelorette-esque. Like, her last two dresses were definitely more, I would say, Bachelorette appropriate than the one she wore on the first night. I didn't really love it. It was no bling, no sparkles. But she said shimmer and sparkles, these last two ones. So she does have a really nice dress on. She looks really nice. The guys all seem to think so. And then she gives him a speech about basically, this is my life. Like, if any of you guys are not here for the right reasons, then definitely, you know, leave now. But then here comes Carl. Carl's talking about, you know, well, I don't know, like, maybe somebody else ain't here for her too. Maybe it's 3 or 4, and all the rest of the guys is like, well, we don't know that, so like, stop putting that in the atmosphere. Thomas, the tall guy that she likes, that she already gave a rose to, he's basically telling her, like, he seems very sincere. They really seem to like each other. Carl comes in and just blows the stuff up. He's basically like, yeah, you know, it could be multiple guys. You know, I'm here for you. I'll look out for you. I'll let you know. So basically, I'm like, this is his method of trying to stick around longer, because he thinks he's going to be the spy. That's basically what he was giving off. I'll be your spy. I'll tell you what's going on in the house. I don't know for sure. She's like, well, give me examples. Who do you think? And he's like, I'm not going to say any names, because there are no names. He's making this all up, and he caused a huge ruckus. She's upset. She's getting annoyed. She's getting, paranoid that more men are not here for the right reason when Carl is making all this stuff up. So he leaves. She goes, she's thinking about it to herself. She goes out there, she gives this long speech, like, came out, men heated, cursing, everything. Like, listen, if you're not here for the right reason, then get the F out. Like, if you're not here for me, if you're not here for marriage, get out. And then she grabs Aaron. So everybody's like, dang, is it Aaron? Is he the problem? But really, she was just trying to use him as, like, wise counsel, because he had already told her something before. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. He comes out and talks to the guys, but before he gets out there, everybody's like, what the heck happened? That changed the whole mood of the night. She's upset. Why is she upset? Where did this all come from? Carl's just sitting there, just quiet as a little church mouse. He ain't saying a word. He ain't saying a word. And all of a sudden, he raises his hands like, they was like, well, who talked to her last? Because he know they're going to figure it out. So he's like, well, I talked to her, and I was just telling her I'm not 100% sure. And everybody's like, dude, you just put her on guard for everybody. Do you know who is it? He's like, I'm not saying names. I didn't throw anybody in the bus. They're like, basically, you not throwing a individual under the bus, you're throwing everybody under the bus. So here he goes again trying to cover his own, but like, well, the person knows who it is. I'm not going to say their name. They can just say it right now. Everybody's like, we don't even know what you're talking about. So he's going to try to just make somebody confess to being there for the wrong reasons. It was so crazy. I'm like, what is actually going on here? Aaron comes out to be like, well, this is what happened. Somebody said, I'm talking to Katie, and she's saying somebody told her this. Everybody's like, well, here's the culprit, Carl. So Aaron's like, what? Aaron is upset. He agitated. Andrew asked the ball player. He's super agitated. Like, dude, you messing things up. Trey, you messing things up for all of us, dude. We don't have time for this. So, like, all the guys are really agitated, but those three were definitely vocal about it. Carl's sitting there looking like a dang deer in the headlights, looking super crazy, but not backing down, not one bit. Basically, all the guys are basically just mad at Carl at this point. Aaron, super mad. He doesn't do anything, but he's just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, I had a reason for telling her that. You're just making things up. You don't know anything. You don't know anybody. None of us know that we're all here for the right reasons. But if we see signs, we'll tell her those signs. You couldn't give examples. You couldn't give names. You just basically mess everything up. So needless to say, it goes off like to be continued. There is no cocktail party. She's off thinking about things on her own. But we do see the previews for next week. And some little spoiler alerts. I do see Nick Viall, who was originally on Andy Dorfman's season, and he was one of the last two contestants. She did not pick him, but they did get intimate in the overnight date, and he actually said it on After the Final Rose. It was the first time anybody had ever mentioned what actually happened there, and so it was this big ordeal, and they felt like he was like sex shaming her. And it was a whole ordeal. He just really was hurt. They're like, dang, I thought I was the one you were going to pick since we did sleep together the night before. I was surprised. I was caught off guard. So that was a whole thing. Then he came back on, was it Caitlin Bistro's season? Another drama situation. So she didn't pick him either, but they end up sleeping together too, I believe. And she is one of the hosts with Tayshia, Caitlin. And then he actually got his own season of The Bachelor. He picked a girl from Canada. They did not end up together. But I think he is happily in a relationship now. So he must be on here for, like hosting or just, I don't know, an appearance or something, because he does say you're gonna have to trust me to Katie. So we'll see how that all plays out. And then I hear somebody saying that Thomas, the tall guy that I really like, that seems to have such a genuine connection with Katie, is a manipulative psychopath. And then somebody asked him a question. Now, this could be editing, and production could have like cut and spliced stuff that makes it seem like this is how it is. But they asked Thomas, have you ever thought about that you could actually be the Bachelor? And he said, yes, I did think about that. So I don't know. Is he not here for the right reasons? Who the heck knows? I don't know who is going home, but I did see Carl in some clips. So maybe Carl is not going home. I'm just not sure. But yeah, guys, that is week 2 recap. It was a lot of drama, and I just foresee more and more drama as the weeks go by. Let me know what you think if you guys watch it. If you don't watch it, you guys can still hang out with me and hear my honest reactions to it. I mean, I put pictures up of hot guys. Who doesn't want to see that? Thank you so much for coming back. Please like, comment, and subscribe. For all of those of you who are new, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can always be notified each and every single time I post a new video. Yes, comment down below. Let me know who are your favorites. Let me know who you want to go home. I am saying Carl. I am saying Carl. I am saying Carl. I do not think he is here for the right reasons. He's always talking about winning, and now he is making false claims that other people are not here for the right reasons, and he's basically grasping at straws and pulling things out of thin air. I don't like it. I don't like it, Carl. They are making you the villain, Carl, and you're helping them. Okay, guys, until next time, see ya.